Hey guys, First Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about a bolt rifle tactical build for Space Marine 2 Patch 12. Now, this patch actually buffed up the firepower variance base damage on the bolt rifle, and the main reason you want to use this one over, say, the ×2 headshot multiplier version at times is if you are taking the newly buffed perk, Crack and Penetrator rounds. The bolt weapons penetrate one more enemy, non-headshot damage increased by 50%. Now, since this version does not rely on headshot damage as much as the ×2 headshot multiplier version does, you can kind of get like the best of both worlds where you'll still have very high headshot damage on top of very high body shot damage with the Crack and Penetrator rounds perk and still be able to cleave through hordes. So really good for that, and that's why I'll be using this one today. Now for the perk tree, I do take the perk here, Headhunter first. Headshots deal 10% more damage. Moving here into the perk Adamant Hunter, when your health is below 30%, headshots will deal 25% more damage. Now on this build, I'm not taking rapid health over here, so once you drop below 30% HP, you will pretty much always have this up until you use a stim or something, so just be a little careful with that, because being below 30% HP does kind of put you within like one-shot range on this class, but it's still a very substantial buff. Next perk here is Fast Reload, moving here to the perk Able Reload. Then I pick up the perk here, Recoupment. Killing a Majoris or higher enemy with a headshot with this weapon restores an armor segment. The cooldown is 15 seconds. This is a top tier defensive perk in the game, unlike every single bolt weapon available, and the main reason it's so strong is that a lot of the range damage you take in Space Marine 2 is chip damage, and getting one armor back from this perk at range makes that very easy to avoid, on top of the fact that you can trigger this on executable enemies. So if an enemy is in a red state and you shoot them in the head with your gun with this perk, you will still get an armor back, so really good for that as well. Next perk here is Tactical Precision. Headshots will deal 20% more damage. Non-headshot damage, it decreases by 10%. Now, you do lose 10% damage on the body shots here, but Crack and Penetrator rounds kind of makes up for that. You could skip over this perk if you wanted to, but the headshot damage here is still worth it in my opinion, so I do pick this up, at least for ops. Next perk here is Great Might, moving here into the perk Cleaving Fire. Shots will penetrate enemy block stances, dealing 25% of the usual damage. Usually this perk is not that strong, but when you have an Auspex down with precise calibration and concentrated fire, dealing 25% damage through a block can actually kill some of the sword warriors, so really nice for that. And the next perk here is Rampage. After killing 7 enemies in rapid succession, you will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. The cooldown is 15 seconds. A 25% damage buff for 10 seconds is a substantial damage buff for a fairly long uptime, and killing 7 enemies in rapid succession is actually easier with this gun than it sounds initially, mainly because Crack and Penetrator rounds does help you clear out Hormagaunts, Zangors, and like Cultists. Well, Cultists already die in one shot, but it helps you clear out a lot of the Minotaurs in the game far more easily, so a pretty good option there. Now, the final perks I take are Extended Magazine, Headhunter, and Divine Might for more damage and a bit more ammunition in our magazine capacity. And that's pretty much all there is for the bolt rifle here. Now, for the secondary weapon, I do take the Heroic Heavy Bolt Pistol, Retribution's Bequest. This one has the heroic perk effect here, No Help is Coming. Shooting enemy with the Elite Stream status stops from recalling for reinforcements, and headshots will kill in one shot. This perk is way better than it sounds initially, because usually when a reinforcement calling enemy is stopped on absolute difficulty or lethal difficulty, they will pretty much always go enraged, and because of that, they get a full HP heal, and now you're dealing with like a blocking sword warrior, so one-shotting them is very nice, on top of the fact you save ammo because you are one-shotting a reinforcement calling enemy and stopping the reinforcement call. Now, for the perk tree here, I do take Divine Might first, moving here into the perk Perpetual Penetration. Then I pick up the perk Increased Capacity, Extended Magazine, and Death Strike. After killing a Majoris or higher enemy in melee combat, you will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. This is just a nice damage buff, and you can also trigger this off of a melee finisher, and I'll just say melee kill, so keep that in mind. Though you do have to have your secondary equipped, and if you swap off of it during the 10-second uptime, you will lose the effect as well, which does kind of suck on tactical because usually you have your primary selected as well, but that being said, it's still a pretty strong perk. Next perk here is Great Might, up here into the perk Discipline. When you have low ammo, you will deal 25% more damage. A 25% damage buff for just using your gun is very strong, especially on tactical, because we don't take a lot of benefit from the perk down here, Able Damage, that gives us a damage increase for a class ability use, because the Auspex scan, while not the worst class ability in the game for cooldown, it does not remotely have as many uses as, say, a Jump Pack or a Vanguard Grapnel, so Able Damage doesn't trigger as often. So I go up here for Headhunter instead, then move here into the perk Gunstrike Reload, and the final perk Tactical Precision, and that's pretty much all there is for the Heavy Bolt Pistol. Now, for the melee weapon, I do take the Heroic Combat Knife Argent Edge. mainly because this is the best fencing weapon in Space Marine 2 currently. It will interrupt any enemy on the first parry no matter what and give you a gun strike, and because of that, you can take perks like Relentless Pursuit and just get this damage buff over and over, on top of being incredibly defensive because being able to interrupt a Ravener combo immediately will save your life. Now, the other perk effect here is called Scathing Retort. The riposte window is shorter, but each riposte deals damage. All this means by riposte is parry window, so your parry window is shorter, but each parry will do damage, and the actual parry window here feels far closer to a block weapon, which just means you want to parry the enemy as soon as the attack actually lands. And now, for the perk tree on this, I do go down the top tree first, mainly because the Argent Edge only has a 3+ speed here, which does make it the slowest combat knife out of like all the heroic and relic tier options, so you really don't want to have perks like Kinetic Energy down here because you will not get remotely as many consecutive heavy attacks, and instead I take Sharp Impact for wider AoE radius on our right and left Skull Crushers. Now, the problem with this weapon is that you are not very good at horde clear for like Hormagaunts and stuff like that. That's like the only major downside, but that being said, you can still perfect parry them. It'll just take you a while to actually kill all the enemies in front of you. Next perk here is Perpetual Strength, down here to the perk Perpetual Strength again. Then I pick up the perk Combined Onslaught for 10% more damage on light combos, because I usually find myself light attacking this weapon a lot more than heavy attacks. And the final perks I grab are Tide of Battle, Shoulder Bash for a better lunging attack, and then I pick up Reeling Blow and Terminus Slayer for more Terminus damage, because oftentimes you find like a Carnifex, you will just be hacking away at them with those light attacks, and 20% damage buff here is actually pretty nice. That's pretty much all there is for the combat knife. So for our perk tree selection, I do take Crack and Penetrator rounds for the reasons I previously mentioned, moving here into the perk Relentless Pursuit. After a gun strike, range damage increases by 25% for 10 seconds. Now, back in patch 11, they buffed this up from 5 to 10 seconds. It is way better now. With the Argent Edge, you're getting a gun strike every single parry no matter what. You will pretty much always have this damage buff active, which is a very strong option for like pretty much any ranged weapon in the game. Though I will say, if you want to take Heightened Vigor instead, this one is overall safer. Next perk here is Emperor's Vengeance. Killing a Majoris or higher enemy restores your primary weapon's ammo by 1 magazine. Cannot exceed maximum ammo capacity. The cooldown is 30 seconds. On both the ×2 headshot multiplier and firepower bolt rifle, you just want this perk or you will run out of ammo. This weapon is not very ammo efficient at all, and we also skipped over the increased capacity perk here, so definitely pick this perk up. Next perk here is Aligned Aim. Range damage increases by 15% for all team members. I prefer this one on the bolt weapons and like the Plasma Incinerator at times as well. Secure Stockpile is obviously better. You could also take the perk down here, Transhuman Physiology, if you want to. I just prefer like the flat damage buff on this one. Next perk here is Vital Data. Scanning Extremis or Terminus level enemy restores your Auspex scans charge by 50%. This is the best one in this column by far in my opinion. Target lock is not very strong at all, and priority targeting is pretty good, but this one's just a bit better because usually you want your Auspex against Extremis and Terminus anyways, and getting it back 50% faster, that's a pretty strong option. Next perk here is Precise Calibration, combined with the perk here Concentrated Fire for a 195% damage buff on your Auspex scan. You could skip over this one for the perk here Battle Focus instead. They're both quite strong. I would pretty much never pick up the perk here Improved Efficiency because Secure Stockpile is a way better equipment regeneration perk, but Precise Calibration is just my preferred here because a 75% damage buff when stacked with the Concentrated Fire perk or a 120% damage buff on top of a 60% longer lasting Auspex is a very strong buff, though I will say them losing the mark when they leave the scanned area, that is hard to play with at first, but like once you understand the enemy movesets a little bit more, it is far easier. Next perk here is Radiating Impact. A melee finisher additionally deals significant AoE damage in a 10 meter radius. The cooldown is 90 seconds. This perk will one-shot Majoris in a 10 meter radius. It is kind of absurd how strong this is at times. This has saved my life so many times on Tactical, is kind of ridiculous. I pretty much always pick this up. Signal Jammer is like not god awful, and the perk down here Marked for Death also works sometimes. This one is just so much better. There's not much reason to take these other two. Final perks for the Prestige perk options are Acuity for more headshot damage, moving here to the perk Skilled Supplier for more ammo. Then I grab the perk here Resilience for 40% more HP on stims, and the final perk here Fortitude for health increase of 15%, because this prevents you from being in one-shot territory on this class all the time, so definitely grab this one. And that's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. The bolt rifle firepower variant feels way better now. Previously, I pretty much only used the ×2 headshot multiplier version here, or like the grenade launcher for siege mode, but these days, the firepower one with crack and penetrator rounds, that feels pretty damn good, and hopefully this build guide helped you, and if you like content like this, subscribe for more. If you want to watch me live to ask me questions about the game, or just come hang out, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description alongside a link to my community Discord. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, take it easy, bye. I'll be a little careful here. I think we'll keep it down. Yeah. Okay. That's more annoying than the actual boss fight was. I got some headshots in on there, but yeah, we did. This is why you always take Emperor's Vengeance, by the way, on this gun, because you will just run out otherwise. 40k gamers have been desperate for a decent 40k game for years. Most previous 40k games other than Road Trader and Dawn of War have been a veritable wasteland of mediocrity. That's because back in the day, they just hand out the IP to like anybody that asks. Like, you want to be a 40k? Fuck yeah, we'll do some 40k. Can I make a 40k video game? There were more 40k video games than like zombie games. Remember when zombie games were like all the rage? 2010 era? Yeah, you had like Call of Duty Zombies, you had Dead Rising, Left 4 Dead, Dead Island. Castle Miner Z. Yeah. Not the one I usually think of, but. Right, that one's especially for us to deal with here. So when you shoot the Biovores in the turret while they're planted, they will take like double body shot damage. Which means that with crack and penetrate rounds and a gun like this, ow. I don't think I'll strike there because that's easy, but yeah, this mine. Now we may have forgotten to change the Space Wolf voice line again, but that's okay. It's just a Space Wolf LARPing as the Sons of Gilliman. I missed when the heroic heavy bolt pistol was bugged and a body shot didn't stop the calls. He tried the headshot again. That was kind of like an inadvertent buff, just not versus Chaos Spawn. Greetings, brothers. What's up, Chonk, man? Perfect. Alright, let's see what we got. The firepower bolt definitely feels way better than it did before. Now, I do feel like a lot of the bolter weapons just need like a base damage buff. If they buffed up body shot damage more, which they said they're going to do eventually, I think the ammo reserve options might be worth taking on some builds. As it stands, not really. Once you get a single synapse burst on Termagants like this, they'll always go into like their execute state. It only takes 2 synapse bursts on absolute and hard strats to like kill all the Hormagaunts. Because it does scale up with difficulty. The thing about Termagants is they have like a second of invulnerability after you put them in execute, unless you headshot them. Or it feels like that anyways. Which is pretty fucking annoying. Up FTG, you saying hydrate today? Actually, yes, as a matter of fact. Very hydrated. You just like him a lot, clearly. Who are you talking about, Osborne? Consumer-friendly title goes to No Man's Sky at this point. I don't know. I don't know if I'd count No Man's Sky. After didn't they just like straight up lie at their launch? They had a redemption arc, but still. Space Wolf voice? Oh, yeah, it's true. I'm nothing if not a Space Wolf fan, of course. Are you wearing Nova Marine strip? No, this is a Sons of Gilliman. I forgive the mistake. They do look pretty similar. Hello. You guys are actually worth it. We need to reactivate the entire system. Find and activate consoles. One down. Brilliant to go.
activate the consoles, can we enter the fortress, brothers?
Okay, that's all the ads. Neurothrope. He can actually come in here. It's just a little difficult for him. He's got, you know, performance issues.
Magazine in.
The Circle of Stolen Drift, because the rings are cool. They are pretty cool.
See the sight. Hold nothing back, brothers. Only after we activate the consoles can we enter the
I'm not using
fortress,
Auspex on him
brothers.
until he's at like half HP. I want to nuke him down as fast as possible. I get a scream here, maybe.
Auspex engaged. Only after we activate the consoles can we enter the fortress, brothers.
Where's our other guy?
We activate the consoles, can we enter the fortress, brothers?
I know I didn't kill the Lictors, so we're gonna do that. Though I have seen Lictors just piss off before. I doubt that happened this time.
Magazine, Auspex drive.
What I wanted, okay.
Dares like the son of Fenris. Replenished and ready.
Is that a Son of Robo Gilliman outfit? Yes, it is.
Enter the fortress, brothers.
Sharing the divine blessings of the machine god.
You couldn't get past any higher difficulties level up weapons? What was difficulty are you playing on?
The minister's presence is required during communion.
Oh, you said you're level 13 on Bulwark and Vanguard and can't still substantial difficulty and suggestions? I just watched my new player guide on that. Oh, that sounds like a base. I mean, I'll just level up first. The level grind at like the very beginning of the game is pretty rough, but that's usually a base game mechanic flaw. I feel like it should be pretty easy to solo substantial bots if you know the base game mechanics pretty well. I would focus on like the fundamentals first.
Only after we activate the
Communion established.
What do you think Tactical's best primary is now? Pyroblaster. Still. I mean, it's Pyroblaster and Dave Launcher. Hasn't really changed.
Attention.
Hasn't really changed since like patch 10.
Communication with console halted. Biological impurity detected. Invasive material must be removed prior to resumption.
The Meta Marines, formerly Facebook Marines, they kind of look like a Facebook logo, don't they? Right. Grab the ammo, let's go over here and clear this out. Space Marine 2 just reached 12 million total players. I believe it. Though most of those players are at launch.
Unregistered biological matter present.
tyrannic pollution ensnares the system. These are merely weeds. We must cut down the spores and their roots. Silence the one who calls for help. Reloading. The contamination is removed.
the game was dead, they wouldn't be aiming for a Season 3. Well, they haven't said they're aiming for a Season 3 yet. But do you think the Plasma Incinerator is top tier as well? No. Plasma's fallen off pretty hard. Not that good of a gun. Heavy Plasma is a different story.
System is running. Let us open the fortress door.
They're all calling in. So coordinated calls that debuff.
Specs opticals calibrated.
Alright, this is gonna be a little annoying.
System is running. Let us open the fortress door.
Like 5 Raveners.
System is running. Let us open the fortress door. Swapping out magazine. System is running. Let us open the fortress door.
Trying.
That was too easy. Arming up. Incoming. System is running. Let us open the fortress door. I see a timepiece.
Like that.
System is running. Let us open the fortress door.
Alright, being stuck in a corner with 5 Raveners is like not my personal preference, okay?
This is our kill. All specs ready.
Rating impact stays a day once more. Definitely helps. Definitely a fucking on crack perk.
We have left the sewers
Watch
behind
perk.
and are in the fortress, Captain.
We'll check for the relic down here.
Head up to the cannons and remind the Xenos of whom they
Is this a firepower or headshot bolt rifle? This is firepower with Kraken penetrator rounds. They did buff up the base damage of this one last patch. Feels way better now. Shit. But we just got done with the last one. I didn't even grab the gene seed earlier. I'm really not that good of a marine, I guess.
replenished and ready.
Headshot 1's so good to use now as well. Headshot 1's been good for many patches, though, is the thing. This one got buffed up this patch. God.
Shoot the spawn mines.
Oh, the bramble. Yeah, I was jumping. I kind of ran right into that. Awkward. Alright, I'm gonna go over here. For now. There's like 2 warriors back there. I don't know if I'm dealing with that. Those are like a bunch of jungle ramble while we're in this area. What are your thoughts on the Rogue Bolt Rifle? That's the best heavy bolt rifle. Definitely the best one of those. It would be nice if the Synapse Shock destroyed Bramble. I mean, I don't think it should. Synapse Burst is good enough on its own. Already pretty fucking cracked. Relic, okay. It might be okay. Hope they bring out the Combi Flamer for the secondary of the Bolt Rifle. I hope it's like a Combi Plasma. Combi Flamer, we already have a Melta, so Flamer's like adjacent to that. Yeah, Combi Plasma would be pretty cool. Sucks. Oh, that doesn't suck. There's a restorative stim over there, but I ain't risking it. That's the nice thing about cracking penetrator rounds, that your secondaries lose any damage. Ow. Shouldn't have gone for that fall animation there. This. Space Marine 3 has a different weapon system, so don't get locked into having only a certain number of variants. Well, I think the variant system in this game is awful already. So personally, I don't like tiered weapon variants in the first place. I always think it's like dumb to swap out your gear. It's like, okay, so like all these other variants is like actually worthless when you're done leveling. That's not very fun to me in games.
The Tyranids seem to know you're close. They are amassing at the fortress. Then we will eliminate.
It destroys spores. Why not Bramble? Because spores are an actual enemy type. Also pretty sure that's true for tabletop as well. What are your keybinds? Vanilla. Except for my aim key, which is just a mouse for. Alright. This is the annoying part. Oh, that's awkward. Oh, no. Oh, I miss every shot. Cut out and post. Cut out and post. Didn't read that in. I just dedicated to the bloom. I don't know why I did that. My gun got... The first one was just an absolute club. Second one was just consistent failure. We deserve everything we're fighting right now. We never claimed to be a master marksman. Send me back to the drills, guys. That was all 7 shots with my heavy bolt pistol. Okay. You think guns have attachments would be better? Well, I think more customization is always a good thing. Like, really all we're asking with that is, like, would more customization for your guns be good? Yes. The answer is, like, always yes for that stuff. But a big thing about customization in games like this is that Games Workshop is, like, super strict, like, no, that is a bolt rifle. It has to look like a bolt rifle. If it looks like anything else, our brand will be damaged. The only reason they didn't do it for Darktide. Nice to get to the, Obi. What's that crack throw? I like to fix some of the customization problems with centering, cloth colors, and lack of left pauldron options. Yeah. That would be nice.
You are near the last cannons. You will need to find the manual controls to operate them. Receiver console. Soon we will use this fortress as weapons on the Tyranids. Auspex opticals calibrate. Cannons are how we destroy this building. Resync the servo skull, and we can fire on this scum.
Defensive cannons active. Targeting system non-functional. Initializing secondary system.
Keep at it, brothers. Show the Tyranid aims for us. Away from his filth, brothers. Press the attack.
God, I fucking hate this boss, chat.
Take cover, brothers.
The deep-rooted hate.
Keep at it. Do not let it.
An old hate, you know? This shit takes me back to year 1. Or how many times I've done this mission, or how many times I've spun these wheels.
The Tyranid aims for
You know, there's a reason there's like the euphemism of spinning your wheels, okay? It's 'cause it's not fun. Also because, you know, other reasons, but...
Finished here. Cannons ready. For the
Someone said, I'd like them to fix some of the super strict IDFT multi-studies. Was there an update this morning? Because I really enjoyed the hammer with Bulwark. There was no update today.
Take cover, brothers.
Okay. We're gonna have to get rid of this first, and then we can deal with everything else. Or at least try to.
The tyranny aims for us.
Oh dear.
Swapping out magazine.
There we go. Actually wasn't that big of a wave.
Take cover, brothers. One down. Trillions to go.
Successful. Cannon targeting enabled.
The tyranny aims for us. Press the attack. Do not let them recover. Back away from its toxic expulsions. Keep at it, brothers. Show the Tyranids no mercy.
Dude over here. Are you doing this portion by yourself? Can I be patient with 2 relics? Okay, we're fine.
Auxiliary generators give us more fire to cleanse
Here I
this
thought a fellow Nova
infestation.
Marine? No. These are actually like Sons of Gilliman are just trying to like, you know, throw you off. It's their whole shtick. You want Space Marine 3 to be a looter shooter? Yeah, if everybody's watching the VOD on this, I'll say this, that
Let us fire at the
a
tyranny.
looter, like a roguelite system, like mode in the game would probably be good. That's like a total looter shooter, no. I feel that would alienate a lot of people. Especially people that like this game a lot, and then they're coming to the end like, what the fuck, why is all my gear randomized? Like having randomized gear portions, that could be fun. Like its own little thing. I imagine Space Marine 3 will be much better in scope, or much bigger in scope, I should say, than Space Marine 2 is.
Survey skull detected. Synchronization.
A bad idea.
Cannons ready.
Take cover, brothers. Do not let its waste poison you.
There we go. It's over. As the firepower bolt rifle. It's pretty good.
Tyranid Titan is defeated. We can target the towers, Captain. Take the shot on those damn towers.
Okay. The biggest tip you have for this game? I would say the biggest tip in the entire game is learn the parry windows, but number 2 would be learn to dodge. Learn to use your basic dodge. When you hit your dodge button without directional input, it's like a little back step, it still has iframes, so use that more. Especially in Minotaur's Hordes.